All right, we're up.
I can't believe we're doing Slaphappy movie time.
I'm
It's the
excited.
best day.
I mean, so excited.
Yeah. What do you? We had talked to Rob before this started, so nobody got to hear about Lumpy the cow. But what have you been up to, Hearn?
Oh, just having a blast, man.
Nothing
Living
notable.
living the dream.
What
It's
you're
that
saying
badly.
is that nothing notable.
Oh yeah. Oh no. It's so
that is
bad.
absolutely what
Something
you're
living-
saying. What about you? This is Alan. Alan is joining us on Slaphappy Movie Time. This time around, he gave it a go. How you doing, Alan?
We're doing good. We're gonna give it a go. Thanks for having me on the Slaphappy dynasty here, the Empire.
Yeah, there's a huge following, so it's a real big risk we're taking here.
So if we were an empire, would I be the king or would Tony be the king? And who would be the queen?
I
Or we
think.
just like a council.
And who would be Flash Gordon?
Yeah, I don't know.
Transitions.
I wish we had a Flash Gordon. Honestly,
And that's why we have Rob.
He'd be the best of all of us.
Rob's a miracle.
But yeah, we are making this episode specifically for Charlie. Charlie requested we make another episode, so shout outs to Charlie. Charlie Gang here. We're very excited to represent you.
Throwing up C's, baby.
Big C's for Charlie. But yeah, we watched Flash Gordon today, which is a very exciting. I would say it's entirely way too exciting 80s movie.
Not nearly as sexist as I thought it would be.
Yo,
I'm impressed.
there was not as much sexism as there normally is in the 80s movies, which is always a big plus. I was totally whelmed the whole time, I would say. Even overwhelmed most of it. There's a lot of shit going on, right?
I'd agree. I was whelmed, but I was overstimulated the entire time.
Yeah. It's like, it's the feeling of
It's moving very quickly to nowhere. Like that's
yeah.
like it was always moving, but at the end of the movie, they really didn't get very far. Like
Yeah. It was worth it, though. It was worth the journey. Let's see. So it's kind of credits. There weren't any like credits scenes, were there? I don't think we rolled in with like a big, like long, drawn out.
what are you talking about? The whole opening thing was the song.
Was
with
it?
all the credits.
I don't even remember. Okay.
Flash Gordon song. By
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know the Flash Gordon song. We were singing this whole time.
Oh yeah.
And they were listing off all of the fucking people in it.
Oh,
like,
okay.
It was
Wow.
iconic. And we were talking about how they never do that anymore. Like the artist never makes the song specifically for the movie.
Okay, yeah.
Like that went out of style for a while for some reason. Like why did that go out of style?
Yeah,
I've
okay,
never
I
heard that.
remember now. There was a song. It was extremely memorable, and it went from there. Let's see. So it's like this target, right? And it's like focused, and this guy. You hear this like disembodied voice, and it's like, "What toy have you brought me, Steven?" I can't remember the name. Like, and he's like, "I've given you the planet Earth," and he's like, "Earth," and like he like, it's like implied that he can like call that, like this little light pops up and it's like earthquake, and like you see like a building fall over. It's implied that this big bad is like doing bad, shaking the earth and stuff, and it kind of like pans down, right, and you see like right before it like pans, it like fades into our main character, right, and you see it say like hot hail, and then that's like burned into the screen. It says hot hail, and then we're introduced to Flash Gordon. Bit of a himbo, right?
Yeah.
only a little.
Yeah, he's got
He's the quarterback for the Jets.
quarterback.
Long blonde hair.
So he's the
yeah.
king football man, quarterback of the Jets guy.
All American hero, really. Like that. Like
Yeah. Alan, what actor did you say he looked like, or if he got recasted by?
I'd love to see an alternate universe where Dolph Lundgren stepped in in the role of Flash here.
like young Dolph Lundgren, or you want to see like old Dolph Lundgren?
Both.
Like, okay.
Okay.
All of it. All right.
Yo,
Give me the remake.
Dude, I say put him in there old as fuck. Just like
I want peak Dolph Lundgren. What do you guys think peak Dolph Lundgren was? Was it Rocky?
peak
what was
Dolph
that?
Lundgren.
Gotta be.
It's got to be
Keanu Reeves
Rocky, right?
movie with Ice Cube in it, where he plays the. Oh my god. What is that movie? Keanu Reeves.
Oh, Point Break.
And,
Are you talking about Point Break?
No, it's that dumb. We watched it. You guys. We
The
did
Matrix?
a podcast on it.
Speed?
Speed?
No. This is super
21.
Oh, Johnny Mnemonic. Are you talking about Johnny
Johnny
Mnemonic? You talking about Johnny
The
Mnemonic?
TV drama.
Remember
Johnny
Dolph
Mnemonic.
Lundgren played
We did a podcast on Johnny Mnemonic Tones.
No, we've done 2 podcasts on Johnny
How do we not
Mnemonic.
guess it?
I was so surprised at how long it
for like
took you
5
guys
years.
to get there. Like,
I think we were
How do
just.
we not
I think we were just naming Keanu Reeves movies, really.
How do we not guess that? Rob
Yo.
knew that and we didn't.
But right, so we got Flash, right? He's obviously the most important person in the NFL because he's the quarterback of the New York Jets, and as far as I know, that's always the most important. It's the one you want to be, right? If you're a
that's
quarterback.
right above President of the United States. Yeah.
yeah. And he's like chilling in his car, right? And he's like looking around. There's like a little hail falling, right? And it falls into some water, and some steam shoots up, and it's like little ominous.
Hot tail.
But he's like just grooving, you know, because he's just loving life. He's got everything going for him, and he's about to get on a private jet, right? And it's like him and another lady who's a travel agent, right? And it's like implied that they stayed at the same hotel, and he saw her there and waved, you know.
Side note, I didn't know this chick's name till 45 minutes into the movie.
I
No idea who she was.
I still don't know her name. What's her name?
I don't know her name either.
Her name was Dale.
Oh yeah. Okay, you're right. Yeah. He's like,
Dale.
what about Dale? He kept saying that. I get it now.
Yeah,
I was always confused who Dale was, to be honed. I had no clue who they were talking about.
think he was-
I thought it was just
One of the bird
like
people?
on the earth or something.
Dale's his coach. Dale was the head coach. He's just like asking about where coach was the whole time.
Where's
It was the
Dale?
Bill Belichick to the Tom Brady
Yeah.
of Flash Gordon.
But yeah, so she's on the airplane, and they're like he's like checking her out a little bit, right? It's the '80s, so there's a little bit of that, there's just a skosh of that. Like he's like, you know, like that's an attractive woman, but he doesn't say anything because he's a good man, Flash Gordon.
Well, he didn't need to because the apocalypse made her fall in love with him.
Well, yeah, there's that going on, right? But
Wait, are you saying that anyone in that situation would have
it's
gotten...
very easy to fall. Okay, let's say you and I were on a plane, right? And it starts to go down, right? We might kiss. I don't know.
Why we wouldn't kiss?
We might.
Why would we kiss? Just
Well, it's because
we're
of the
gonna die?
apocalypse, Hearn. Yeah. Try to get
Can you
some
imagine if you were
try and get some
on
shit
the
done
plane?
before.
Can you imagine if you were on the plane with the last woman ever and you were gonna die and you wanted to kiss her and she didn't want to kiss you and you're like,
Yeah, I mean, I probably wouldn't do it to some woman. Probably you though. You know what I'm saying?
More likely to kiss you at the end of the world than.
Yeah, I'd probably be like, "Who the fuck are you?" Like, I don't. But anyways, so they're like flying in the plane, right? And there's this implied hot hail coming on outside. And the pilots are like, they're yammering, like, as pilots probably do. I don't know. I'm not up there. They won't let me in. But they're like, oh, looks like it's a cloudy day. And he's like, yep. And then a big cloud rolls in and it's like shooting this hot hail down, right? And the plane like dips and dives. And, well, no, because first Flash comes and offers to fly the plane, right? He's like, you guys need any help up here? You know, just kind of, let's get in there. They're like, nah, we got it. We got it, Mr. Jets quarterback man. We can fly where you need
Oh,
to
he's
go.
the Jets quarterback.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was a good tie-in. That was
with the
the
jet.
most clever part of this movie.
I didn't even realize that until now.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that a jet ends up being the thing that at the end of the movie.
But yeah,
You guys
anyways.
know what I'm talking about? I'm not gonna spoil
yeah,
it.
Wait, dude, don't spoilers. Spoilers, you know.
Spoilers.
It involves
Yeah, well,
a jet at the end of the movie.
It's not even a jet.
Spoiler.
So they're flying right in the hot hail, right? And there is a bad guy. I want to call him Zoltan, but I know that's not his name. The Zoltan thing.
Zoltan was the one good guy.
Zoltan, was there a good? There was a good guy named Zoltan.
His name was Ming, the bad guy.
Ming,
Emperor
yeah.
Ming.
So Emperor Ming, right? He's the guy who sent these earthquakes to planet Earth or whatever. He you see like a picture of him like in front of the window of the jet, and he's like, ah, and then all of a sudden
It almost looked like he flew into the jet and punched the pilots out of existence. That's like that's like how it looks, because then like Flash goes to the front of the cockpit and he's like, "Where'd they go?" And like the windows are broken and they're gone.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
No explanation.
Yeah. So then him and the travel agent Dale, they like run to the front of the plane, and they're trying to pull up on the handle, and they do it together, and they hug. They're happy. They're alive. And then
They crashed on the dude, on Hearn's favorite character.
Yo, can I please set this up, Rob?
Yeah, you
Please.
take
Okay,
the
so while the plane is crashing, it's kind of crashing toward like this laboratory area, and we get a sneak peek in what's going on in the laboratory, right? There's a asteroid that falls into the laboratory and hits this dude who's apparently sleeping, right? Named Munson. And Munson catches fire.
I love that you even caught his name, much less remember it.
That's the only name I remember in the entire fucking movie, Rob. And so Munson catches fire, and this is what starts the worst day at the office that anyone's ever had.
So cut back to Flash, right? Munson's on fire. He's getting yelled at, right? His boss is an absolute crazy person.
He pulls a gun on him for like no reason.
Yeah, he's got a gun. He says, "You're gonna get on this rocket or die from hot hail." And Munson's like, "Eh."
And then he gets hit by a plane instead.
Yeah, and then Flash cuts him down with an airplane, so he's dead. He didn't last very long in the movie. We figured he had probably a pretty rough time working there, anyways. You know, obviously like being threatened with a gun, sleeping at work, getting set on fire.
Did we even tell him who was threatening him with a gun? Did we even go into that?
No,
we haven't even went into that.
No, who's threatening with him a gun? Tell me. It's his boss.
You don't even know his name.
It's Zoltan.
I don't remember.
It's Zoltan.
Alan, do you remember what that guy's name was?
God, no. This movie went at like 100 miles an hour.
I'm gonna call him Zoltan. We're gonna call him Zoltan from here on out. It starts with a Z.
Yeah.
You know,
Zoltan, like the Adam Sandler movie? Or
Yeah,
is that
like
what we're talking
Zoltan.
about?
Yeah, like the Adam Sandler.
The
movie,
hairdresser?
Zarkov.
Zarkov. Okay.
Zarkov.
So Zarkov's his boss, right? He pulls a gun on him, right? He's like, "Listen, I was right about the moon. It's off kilter, and you got to get on this rocket, man." And Munson dies, right? And who takes his place, right? But Flash, right? Flash, he crash lands the plane, but he does a good job because he's Flash Gordon. He's good at everything. He's a good man. He's a good person. He's a good pilot. He grabs catches her out of the plane. They walk over, right? They've killed Munson.
Well, they're in love at that point.
Yeah, they're in love already.
And like they're essentially.
They're in love. Munson's dead. The end.
That's it.
That's
it.
where it died for me.
Yep.
Until the lizard. The lizard guy kind of brought it back.
Yeah,
honestly.
So he then forces them with a gun, right? Because he's like not ready. He needs somebody on the rocket. So
he tries to trick them into the rocket, telling them the phone's in there. It's like, oh, you guys probably need to use the phone, huh?
It's
in there, and they like go in and they're like, where is it?
Is it in the rocket? It's in the rocket. Yeah, it's definitely.
That starts like the beginning of Flash Gordon just being like the dumbest dude of all time.
Yeah, he just like kind of cruises up into there, right? He realizes there's not a phone and that he's trying to be tricked. So then he like kind of tricks him, right? He's like. I can't remember, but they got in a scuffle. Either way, they kind of get in a scuffle, right? And Flash Gordon like grabs Zarkov. He grabs Zarkov, and and he throws him, and he hits the launch button, right? Like, and they just launch
with his face.
With his face, yeah. He hits the launch button with his face, and he just launches into the sky. They launch into the sky. They're on the rocket. Then what happens? Do we remember? Because they get intercepted, right?
They go no. The rocket just takes them directly to the front door of Ming's palace. On some fucking like I don't know where it is. Like some planet with a bunch of fucking spikes.
It wasn't the moon. I hope that wasn't the moon.
No, they were
Something I
using
feel
them.
like
They
it's
were
the
like
moon.
destroying the moon and throwing it at the Earth. That was like their thing.
Okay.
They were doing.
Because didn't the rocket go through a black hole and then they just
I
happened
don't think they
to
explicitly said they
respawn?
went through a black hole, but it looked very black hole-ish. They just like
Some sort of a
went through
vortex.
powerful thing in space.
Yeah, space
This
whirlpool of sorts.
This is a fascinating part of the movie that I just completely missed. Just like look down for a second. They were at a palace. I was like, "What? All right."
It's if you blink, you missed it. Like because this movie is just constantly one after the other. Just
It does give you a good sense of how the movie felt, though. You know what I mean? Like you just felt like you missed parts of that.
Yeah.
Dude, think about it. Flash Gordon, the hero, he feels exactly like we do. He doesn't know what the fuck happened.
Oh,
You know, like
Alan was talking about that.
But let's give the man a little credit. Like, yeah, like he crash landed the plane. I'm going to say that he's somehow responsible for getting the spaceship right to that front door of that castle, because it is stated in Flash Gordon lore early on that he was taking pilot lessons, but he never got to the part about landing yet. So this all tracks. This is all.
We're all good.
dude, he crashes so many things.
Well,
He lands them, but like
he puts them on the
he puts
ground.
them on the ground. So
Yeah, he doesn't need that part. He didn't need that part.
he didn't
He skipped that chat. He skimmed it.
an all-American
It's
hero.
Flash Gordon.
But yeah, so they're on, so they're at the facility, right? And there's a bunch of different alien races there, right? There's like these little tiny guys that are wearing box-shaped costumes that have like their arms kind of stuck out sideways. They have like, there's like a bigger guys, and they got like hawk wings, right? And they're like kind of important looking, right? And then there's these guys dressed in green that are like, were they swamp boys or tree men, or they were tree men?
Was it the tree men that do the thing later? You know what I'm talking
yeah,
about?
it's them.
Like mutual.
Okay.
Yeah, was there?
They're like Robin Hood guys. They look like Robin Hood.
Yeah, there was a
They're
race
like-
of
Robin Hood looking motherfuckers.
yeah, and then there was a race of like women who wear scantily clad outfits.
Yeah,
And
those
then,
are all of his concubines. Those are just
oh, they were. I thought they were like another like species of alien races. And then there
That's what I
was.
thought at first, but then later they were all they just hang out in his bedroom all day. Like,
Oh, okay. Well, you know. But then there was so they're there, right? And he seems like he's a bad guy, right? He's like talking about how great he is at controlling groups of people, and then there's like a little bit of a scuffle between the tree men and the hawk people, right? The hawk man he's really mad at the tree man. Tree man's kind of a dick, right? He's like, he's got a cool mustache, but he's just kind of a dick, you know?
And you have no clue why any of this is going on.
No, absolutely
clue.
not. No, you're
absolutely
stuck-
not the slightest clue. Like why, like if this group is in alliance with this group, or if this group's in an alliance with this group. And then the evil guy starts giving a nasty speech. Is that what happens?
Yeah. So,
He asked that one guy to sacrifice himself to prove his loyalty.
yeah. There's
Flash
that-
like called him stupid or something. Or no, he said he's like, this guy's crazy, and they all heard it, and then
Yeah.
that made him like enemy number one. You can't call the emperor crazy.
yeah,
He's
that's
crazy, you know.
definitely a bad deal. So he murders that man, sticks a sword through him. And then he's like, what is Flash is like? Flash is like, hey, you're being a real bad dude, right? He's like, that's not okay. That's kind of what happens, right? Like Flash is like, Flash,
Yeah. Flash is like, that's illegal.
Yeah,
you
you
can't
can't-
do that
He
in
says to the
America.
girl, he's like, this guy's crazy, and the little robot helper hears him and like broadcasts it to the emperor, like, hey, that dude just fucking called you crazy. Like,
yeah, okay, yeah. And then
It was like simultaneous, like they were overhearing it. That was a really funny, weird part.
and it stopped everything. Like everyone was just like,
yeah,
what did
'cause
he just say? Like,
you don't sass the emperor.
And this is a part, and this is actually technology that continues throughout the movie. It's like basically a cell phone, right?
Yeah, it's
that
like
they have for technology.
telepathy.
It's like telepathy. It's like the coolest thing they thought of in the 80s, and it's just a cell phone, right? It's just like like that's all that this was like you have somebody on a microphone, and then this technology is something they'll be using later as foreshadowing.
Yeah, but so then they start to they're like he's like seize him or whatever, right? I don't remember what exactly he said, but all of his guards are like they all look like they're wearing football helmets and they all kind of like line up in a formation, right? At first, they just start beating the shit out of Flash. Like he can't get it, he can't stop him, and then he's like getting the shit beat out of him, right? But then was the Hawkman? No.
No, it's the footballs.
Zarkov.
These random chicks have like giant eggs that are oddly football shaped, and he just like grabs one and bonks it on the head.
Yeah, he like powers up.
Flash, and it's like very obvious that like it was like he gave him a gun, right? Like it was like here's this egg, and like any normal person would be like, the fuck am I supposed to do with this? But like for Flash Gordon, it was like a fucking automatic weapon. He's like, all right, I got this.
Right.
And he just starts tapping people.
Absolutely. Yeah. He's.
It was like Popeye's spinach.
Yeah.
As soon as he touched that football-ish object.
He became hyperpowered, right?
It was so good that football shaped objects were like an important part of this like civilization. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and they were there. That's the best part, that they were there.
Oh yeah.
But anyways, so he does his best, right? He knocks a few guys over like bowling pins. A little tiny little guy with the box shaped thing like stabs one in the butt, and it's like kind of silly. And then they end up overpowering him in the end, right? And you see Ming's daughter, right? She's like I don't know, like a sexy, just
what are we calling her?
Paris Hilton type. Ming's daughter. I don't remember her name.
No, we just gotta think of a stupid nickname for her.
Aura. Her name was Aura.
Aura.
Like
Okay.
Aura.
Okay.
Like
Aura.
So his daughter, right? She's like, holy shit. Look at that himbo, like friendly. He can fight. Like, I want a piece of that, right? But she's married to one of the Green Tree Men guys, right? But she doesn't give a shit about that. She's like, whatever, dude. Look at this guy. So she asked Ming. She's like, yo, can you maybe give that guy to me, right? And Ming's like, oh, your appetites are so silly. We're gonna murder him. So he like, they go to sentence him to death, right? So this kind of sets up for her to like. She's going to break him out, right? She's like, I'm going to break this guy out. I'm going to do whatever I want to him, and we're going to have a good time.
She's horny, man. I don't like, why is she so horny?
That's...
Goddamn, football
what
players.
is the rich girl gonna do?
Still, I guess that's true.
It's the quarterbackness that really gets you going. But yeah, she like breaks him out of prison because he's like wearing a funny hat with spikes on it, right? He's like...
Remember, because he gets sentenced to death, and she's fucking the doctor or whatever.
The tree man.
That fakes, like,
the priest guy.
He brings him back to life.
Yeah, they execute him.
Brings him back to life.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So they try to execute Flash. He's gonna die, right? But then she brings him back to life because she knows the priest really well. And then he injects him with some life-saving whatever, and he's like, all right, see you soon, and pieces out. And then they fly off in our spaceship.
Yeah, it ends up pretty good for Flash.
Yeah, Flash doesn't know what the fuck's going on.
He never has.
Yeah.
He never has. At no point in this does he ever know what's going on.
But he goes from like being in a plane with a realtor or whatever to now he's basically being saved by the
various different aircraft with women. This guy.
Can you guys imagine if an alien landed on our planet and in like 5 minutes it was married to like one of the Obama girls somehow? You were like, what? This is insane. This is the craziest story of all time.
Just a himbo alien. He's like, I don't know what's going on here. What's with this big house?
He's getting led around by a tail. He doesn't know what the fuck's going on.
But yeah, so they're on the thing. He's like, listen, we gotta save. He's like, I know you're trying to save me, but we gotta save Dale. She's like back at Ming's palace, and she's like, that's not good. But she's like, okay, well, you can talk to her through this telepathy, whatever. So they chat, and she's like trying to love him up while they're doing it, and he's like, you really kind of ignoring it because he knows what's important, you know. And where they end up going to the
hold on. That's when he uses the cell phone technology to call Dale while he's getting loved up on by the Empress lady.
Yeah.
So he's literally like making out with her and like doing all of this stuff while he's on the phone with Dale, just talking like nothing's happening.
So like she hears his thoughts, and he's just like, he says something stupid like, "This girl's turning me on," and then she's like, "What did you say?" And he's like, hang up," you know, like.
Yeah.
It's not you. I'm not talking about you, Dale.
Yeah.
Not everything's about you, Dale.
Where do they go? Do they go straight to the tree place?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
I still don't get why they did that. They're trying to get Flash home, right?
She's like engaged to one of the tree men, right? He's got the mustache guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like Prince of the Trees. So Prince of the Trees is there, right? And she is like, Flash, hang out back here. I'm gonna explain to him what's going on so that we can protect you, right? So she like comes out, and he's like, oh, I sure do like hanging out with you. And she's like, yo, I kind of saved that dude so that maybe I could have sex with him. And he like reacts like you would expect, like, what the fuck did you bring that dude here to my my tree palace for? You know,
he really takes it pretty well, man.
I'm king of the trees. No, you wanted to kill him. He's like, I'm gonna kill that guy.
Yeah, but at the same time, he doesn't just kill him.
He puts him in the box and puts him in the swamp.
Yeah,
right.
So he grabs Flash, right, and he like lowers him into the swamp with some lizard men, and
one Hawkman.
Well, didn't he also like interrupt one of their rituals, or like a bunch of people chilling like around some oddly knotted piece of wood?
Yeah, they're doing the ritual where they stick their hand in the stump and hope they don't get it. This is fantasy Russian roulette. There's just a beast in the stump with a stinger that will kill you. And you're supposed to stick your hand into random holes and hope it doesn't kill you.
Right.
Yeah, because Alan, they first were doing it with like a young guy, right, as a ritual. Was it?
Yeah, that was like him proving himself was to just go die.
Oh like that was like his coming of age ceremony.
Yeah, he's like, save me from the madness, right? Because if this thing stings you, you go mad, and then which is a bummer. Like, that's a real bummer. And then, so Flash like sees him like, oh my god, I got stung by this thing. Like, kill me, please. And they stab him, and Flash is like, that's not right. That's kind of what he does. So he like runs over there, and he's like, stop it. And the Green Tree Man's like, listen, dude. I know you came here and you don't know why you're here, but I'm gonna drown you. So he like puts him in a cage, and like lowers him into the swamp. There's some lizard men there. The lizard men got it bad because the only time you ever see them in the show is when they're dying. There's not a single lizard man who makes it to the end.
That's right. They killed a lizard man completely arbitrarily at the beginning of the show. They were running.
The first like other species you see.
It was so sad. They just like ran past, and lizard man runs out and gets shot by a laser for no reason at all.
It was right next to Flash. It's like they were sending him a message.
And then we cut to this like cage that's in the swamp that has it's two lizard men and then the Birdman, and the Birdman and Flash are like bonding in this cage, right? Because they have nothing to do with talk. They're just hanging out in the swamp, bonding.
You don't actually hear that part though, so it just like cuts to them and the lizard and the not the lizard
like
man.
Comes back to them and he's like holding up the Birdman. He's like, hang in there, buddy. Like they fucking know each other.
Yeah, Birdman's on a first name basis.
Running back like that. He didn't just like.
Yeah.
Like these people in this cage are my team, and I gotta carry them. You know, like that's.
So meanwhile, the Tree Prince, right? He's pretty sullen. You know, he's like mad. He's like, man, my fiance brought this
I
dude
think
to
we should mention that the prince dude is fucking Timothy Dalton.
Timothy
Like,
Dalton.
I feel like, yeah,
I don't.
that's
So
a name people know. Maybe you don't. Like,
you guys are gonna have to explain to me who Timothy.
I don't know
Dalton.
Timothy Dalton either. I'm so sorry, Rob.
okay,
I
that's
just-
fine.
I just know he was a Bond.
He was a Bond.
He was a Bond, yes.
Oh,
Not
okay.
James Bond.
Oh, really? Okay.
So James Bond is looking real sullen. But yeah,
Robin Hood James Bond
Yeah,
is a good description.
Robin Hood, Tree Man. I'm just gonna keep calling him the Tree Prince. He's Timothy Dalton. He's James Bond. Imagine him how you want. I like to imagine a guy who has a tree for a face, but he's like sullen, right? He's talking to a guy who's playing a pipe with a snake on it, and he's like, "Listen, man, I'm not really sure about this guy that I'm trying to drown." And the snake pipe man's like, "You seem a little upset." And then the next scene is the snake pipe man crawling down into the cage, right? And he like opens it up and he's like, "You gotta get out of here, Flash." And Flash is like, "Oh, I do gotta get out of here," you know? So he goes on, he yells back down to Tree Man. He's like, "Hang on, buddy." And then he goes up, right? And the Tree Prince is standing there alone next to the stump with the holes in it, right? And he's like, "Listen, are you too much of a pussy to put your hand in this stump?" And then Flash is like, "No way." At first he was like, "I'm not doing that," right? But then he called him a pussy and he was like, "Fine," you know, like he like was ready to go then, you know. That's what happens when you're the leader of the New York
When you
Jets.
challenge a man's masculinity,
Yeah.
he's forced to do anything.
Yeah, he has to do anything. So he like sticks his hand in the stump, right? Tree Prince sticks his hand in the stump, right? And they're staring. It's intense, right? You see their hands like in there, but you can't see what's happening, right? Because there's a tree beast in there that's gonna kill him. Anyways, so Flash sticks his hand.
Well, because Flash sticks his
This is
hand
the
in.
smartest thing Flash does in the whole movie.
That's true. Flash sticks his
most-
hand in, right? And he goes, "Ah!" And he yanks it out. And he's like, "Ah!" And he's like, "Kill me before the madness sets in," or whatever. So, but then he just steals the Tree Man's sword, and he's like, "I fucking tricked you, dog. Like, I got you." So
And then he drops his sword and runs away. Just fucking runs away.
That did happen, didn't it?
He did
Yeah,
the
he
smartest
swung-
thing he did in the whole movie, followed immediately by the dumbest thing he did in the whole movie. Like,
Yeah, you one-upped him, and then he ran away. And then, what?
he immediately fell into quicksand. Immediately, like
Is that right after
he
that?
fell forward, and he fell into quicksand.
He's in
And
the
then he pulled
quicksand.
himself out of the quicksand. And while he was laying on the ground, a horrific monster came out of the ground and started to eat him.
Oh, yeah, that's disgusting.
It was just one thing after another. Like, he was just struggling, like,
Yeah.
the whole time.
That's his
Alan
story.
had a hilarious description of those events. I forget what you said.
Just to throw out there first, like, is pretty much every 80s sci-fi movie just obsessed with at least getting quicksand in there somewhere?
It was a big thing, I think, in the 80s. Like, it was like, I don't know.
It's just
I don't
because
know
the
why.
cartoons planted the seed. You know what I mean? Like when cartoon characters would go into quicksand and die, right? So you're
Yeah.
like, oh man, maybe that'll happen
What
someday.
fucking cartoons were you watching?
There was cartoon quicksand. Get out of here. Let me Google this.
The Animaniacs are just sinking in quicksand.
Yeah, dude.
Dying.
Every show
There's
I
totally
watched,
quicksand.
I remember there being quicksand in every show I ever watched.
I feel like I remember there being quicksand everywhere. I was like,
Are you afraid of quicksand?
no,
Did you
no,
just
there's
dream? Did you just dream
quicksand.
this? You keep dreaming
No,
about
there's
it?
quicksand in the.
There was
There's
quicksand
no,
in
are there no
Beastmaster?
cartoons with quicksand in them?
I'm
on,
sure
hold on,
there's
hold
got to
on.
be. Well, you can't just Google like cartoons with quicksand in them because that's going to give you
literally what I'm
answers. Yeah, you can't. You can't even name one
That's literally-
example.
It's literally what I'm doing right now.
It was everywhere.
Yeah, thank you, Alan.
On fire, I was supposed to stop, drop, and roll, and if I fell in quicksand, I was not supposed to struggle because then you'll go down faster.
Thank you, Alan. Someone else is worried about quicksand over here. Tones is just like
I'm not. I'm not worried
first
about.
class.
I'm.
Just because you've never been in quicksand doesn't mean that you can just talk down to people that have.
Tones probably doesn't even care about the Bermuda Triangle. He would just like fly right through it.
Oh my god, you guys are.
So would Flash Gordon, though.
Todd,
Yeah.
why
okay.
don't you care about the Bermuda Triangle, Todd?
Oh my god, get.
They've all died, Tones.
Stop. You stop right now.
What were we talking about?
The beast grabs him. The gross,
That's right,
the
that's
gross
right.
thing's like
There's
sucking
like
him in.
spider tendrils, right? That like come up and over him.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
fucking.
To
It's,
like
it's
slurp
like
him down.
the most interesting
nasty.
creature in the entire show by far. I'm like, what is that, right? But we don't get to know because the tree prince comes out and he just kills it immediately, right? He shoots the
He has a laser.
laser.
Crossbow, though. It's like
Yeah.
a crossbow pistol, but it shoots a laser.
Yes.
Right. They're really like running into the Robin Hood thing. Like they intentionally added
Right.
decoration to their blasters.
We skipped right over the handgun.
Oh no!
You guys
God.
remember the handgun?
Yeah, I remember
They
the
crash. When it first crash lands on that fucking planet, and all the soldiers come out, and there's the one, and he goes to shake its hand, and he pulls out a gun, and it pulls the trigger, and like a beam
Yeah.
of light goes to his hand, and,
Yes,
and
please.
then there's another hand that grabs his hand and throws him to the ground, and then he shoots it again, and it's on his neck, and then it like goes to the next scene where they're like fucking tied up.
Right. I forgot about
Sorry,
that.
I had to just talk about the ridiculous.
Yeah,
weapon.
no, I'm glad you
that's
brought
another
that back.
ridiculous weapon. So I think that's the most. That's going to be number 1 on the list,
Uh,
and then number 2 is going to be the crossbow laser,
crossbow
and we'll
laser.
get a top 5 eventually.
Right. So he crossbow lasers the thing, right? And Flash is like, whoa, what's going on? And Tree Prince like, I'm gonna fucking kill you now, finally, right? And he goes to shoot, and it flies out of his hand, right? Like somebody shot his gun out of his hand. He looks over, and it's the Hawkman, right? The Hawkman and like some Hawksketeers. They shot the gun right out of his hand.
Right. The Hawkeye he bonded with in the cage.
He
came
was
through.
there. He was there.
He
for
was
sure. Yeah.
Laird, the Birdman.
Right. So then him and the Tree Prince, they get captured together, and they get brought to Birdland Man or Birdman Land.
Birdland Man.
Bird person place.
Bird person.
Is this all on
place.
the same planet? Like I'm confused how many times they
It's not
may or may
really-
not hop planets in this show.
Yeah.
It does bring up a really
It's
interesting
just
point.
like places in a cloud, like
Yeah.
because they
You know-
don't breathe.
This conversation has been like needing to happen for context of like where it is. It's never clear when it's space or when it's not space or when you have air
Yeah.
or when
there's-
you don't have air.
It's just another place.
Yeah.
There are no rules.
It's like they just travel through a smoke cloud, really, and they just end up in the next place. It's really how you end up anywhere when you're watching any movie, to be completely honest. It's like smoke cloud, you're in a new place. But they just we're like, yeah, we're going to put that on screen also, so you know.
I mean, at least the bird people can like move their palace around because aren't they on like
flying.
on hover jets?
Yeah.
It's flying.
Like just that whole castle?
Yeah. Bird people can also fly. Their buildings can also fly. I assume everything they have can fly.
Their leader only talks with his mouth wide open all the time.
He's an
Oh,
angry
yeah,
man.
his mouth is as big as Hearn's entire face. Like just
And that's
it's like
pretty
the
big.
mouth of Sauron. Fucking just,
Yeah.
It's
I talked to the woman who squeezed this out of her vagina. She's a saint. My mother.
Well, your
Same.
head because your head's
My
so
head was
big.
this big as a child or as a baby.
Is your head like obscenely large? I've never
Yeah, it's really
noticed.
big. Do you guys see this? See how people have like 4-finger foreheads, right?
you got a 5 head.
That's like a 5-head.
Yeah, but
basically.
like I'm talking about like
I
this,
don't know, I
this,
feel like
this
I
like
got
circumference of
5
your
head.
head like larger than
Are we
most.
talking about like this way?
Like okay, like
Like when you buy hats, do you complain afterward?
Yeah.
Okay.
so
He
yeah,
complains anyway.
You got a weird head.
Yeah, it's weird.
got
Rob, I feel like your forehead's pretty big too, but that might just be your hairline.
It's just my receding hairline.
A bump.
brutal. This is so brutal. At least you
Tell
don't
us
have
how
a
big's your head.
proceeding hairline. Imagine if you
Yeah, I feel like
imagine
Tom's
if
is
you're
Like, that's getting-
You guys
Like,
feel like
goes right
Tones
down
is
to
too
your
handsome
eyebrows,
to
just
be on the
like hair.
podcast ever? Tones, put how many fingers are? I bet your forehead's perfect. Put your fingers up. Look at that. Oh my god, look at that.
Yeah.
Look at how tiny his forehead is. This guy literally has like the complexion of an Arabian prince. This guy does.
I'm just
Literally.
excited for the day
He's
when
like the king of Dubai over here. That's what Tones looks like in real life, guys.
I'm just excited for the day when my hairline connects to my eyebrows, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it grows down.
Okay. So where were we at in Flash Gordon then?
So they're at the bird place. Right.
A bird place.
And
Because they flapped them back. It was four bird people, each holding an arm,
Yeah.
flying them an unclear amount of distance.
Oh, and also
An
Dale and Zarkov
condition.
have also been flown to the Birdman.
oh yeah,
The
yeah,
bird
yeah.
person place.
They're set up for a meeting. The Dale and Zarkov and them. But anyways, the bird people are like, listen, you guys, I'm gonna turn you in or whatever. And the tree prince is like, hey, actually, can't we just do trial by combat and we'll just like fight? And he's like, yeah, I guess you could fight. And then he's like, well, I want to fight Flash. And Flash is like, okay, you know. So they
Sounds
like.
great.
Yeah, sounds great. I'm here. Let's do this.
That was
you know?
that was
They
a
should have
weird
done two
concept.
separate fights so they can both get out.
Yeah, why not?
He was like, I just learned about this loophole and you're going to use it against me.
He
Like
wasn't thinking that far.
why not just pick a baby? Just pick someone you're for sure gonna beat, dude.
I challenge that baby.
You should-
And they just throw it at
Dale, definitely could kick
and
her
the
ass.
the battle arena is like this hovering circle, kinda. Like it's like this hovering circle above
Yeah,
like the weird space area, right?
yeah.
That we're not sure if it's space or
It's-
what it is.
It's flying as well, right?
Yeah,
right,
so we
it's
got
all
Flash
flying.
Gordon, and then we got the
Tree Prince.
Robin Hood tree guy, right? And they're fighting.
Yeah, they're
They got whips. They gave him whips.
They gave him whips. Neither of them
Okay,
uses it
weapon.
right away, right? They want to kind of get in there like nice and deep, like, and really give
Yeah.
him some punches, right? Finally, the clearly not as much of a good person, the tree prince guy, right? He grabs a whip, right? He starts whipping at Flash, right? And Flash is just kind of dodging, right? And the bird person leader, he's getting bored. And he's like, "Throw me the remote," and he like throws him the remote. I was like, is this gonna be like a weird change the channel joke? That's what I was thinking the whole time. I was like, is he gonna be like click, like? But anyways, he like grabs the remote and he like presses a button, right? And all these like spikes start like shooting up out of the platform. So now
And
they gotta
tilting.
dodge spikes. Yeah, and it starts tilting. So they're like dodging spikes and stuff. And Flash finally like gets the upper hand and kind of like throws the Tree Prince towards the edge. Tree Prince grabs one of the spikes, right? He's holding on. He's gonna die. What does Flash do? He runs over and he helps him back on the platform, right? And the Tree Prince
I
is
like them. Yeah, the firm handshake that he gives him. Like he gets him up, and then Flash is like, "Put her there, guy." And this guy's like,
It's
"Dude, you're
a weird
insane."
slow motion handshake.
Yeah.
Like,
And this
Yeah.
time it wasn't met with a handgun. Should have been shot by a handgun and then pull him down into the abyss because it was like another space vortex down there.
Yeah.
yeah.
So I assume he would have just like fallen and landed in front of some other evil castle.
Yeah, I was gonna say he
Like
might have
we
just
were
ended up in the next scene. Like,
And then he married Peach.
He'd be in the remake.
yeah, right. He's just gonna appear in the remake. So
Oh,
the Tree Man, he's like mildly impressed, but he's like not ready to fucking like Tree Prince is like, listen, this guy showed me the way. I'm a good person now. Let's fight Ming together, right? And the bird people are like, I'm not ready for this. You know, they're like, we're gonna run because he knows you're here, and he's coming to kill us, right? So the bird people, they're like peacing out, right? They're not gonna have any of that shit. They don't want it. They don't want to fight no one. They kind of want to fight, but they're not ready yet. They're like, our weapons, we're like building weapons or some shit. And let's see what happens. They all fly away and they just leave Flash there. I don't know what happened to Dale and Zarkov though. What happened to Dale and Zarkov?
Okay, so Zarkov.
picks them up and takes them back.
Yeah, Zarkov got reprogrammed at some point, right? You thought
Yep.
he was a bad guy, but then he was actually a good guy. He saved Dale earlier. It's not super important. They're
Yeah,
just,
Zarkov's kind of just been running around as like a double agent. It's honestly, you could take the character out of the movie, it would be the same movie.
yeah. He literally was there to get Flash on a rocket, and
yeah,
that would have
like,
happened
it's
to
just
Flash
flavor.
anyway.
Right, exactly.
because he just stumbles onto those things. But anyways, so they're all there. I don't remember what happens. They get recaptured after that, right? Because Ming shows up with his Nazi squad, and they're like hanging out, and he's like, "Listen, did we like? I feel like we skipped a large swath of the movie. Did we do that? We didn't.
I don't think so.
We skipped over what's the other two people ended up at the Hawkman place, but like it just happened. It wasn't important.
Okay.
Like,
okay.
They got there because they had to get there for the continuation of the plot.
Right,
so
right. But they actually didn't need to be there, right? Because they just got captured again, right?
Yeah. They didn't need to be there.
so Ming shows up, right? He captures Dale and Zarkov, assumingly, and he's like talking to Flash, right? And Flash is like hanging out, and he's like, "Hey, listen, Flash, do you want to like, be some sort of lord over this space place or lord over Earth?
If you can't beat him, join him." It's like a weird Star Wars moment, kind of, right?
Yeah.
Where he's like,
Yeah,
join the dark side.
King of Earth, essentially, but then rule under him.
Right, but he's gonna turn them all into Neanderthals, right? Because he's gonna like blast the planet or something. So Flash is like, "No can do," and Ming's like, "Respect," and he like just leaves because he's gonna blow up the castle anyways. He's like doesn't see a reason to just kill Flash there, like push him off the ledge or anything like that. So they go out there, right, and Zarkov and Dale are watching from the ship, right, and you see a bunch of lasers come in and it just explodes the bird person castle. And Flash is like trying to get out, right, and he like finally he like sees this like space.
It's a jet ski. It's a jet ski.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
What did they call it? A rocket cycle?
Rocket
They
cycle.
call it, which is the dumbest. Why would you call it that? It doesn't have any wheels.
Why? Would
Do you guys remember the thing that like jiggled women's asses in the 70s to like make them lose weight? Do you guys remember that thing?
Like the big belts.
Yeah, the big belt
yeah.
bands. He basically throws that around his ass and like boots up this scooter and just like drives. How does he know where to go?
Here's a question. He
literally just flies away, and then there was a radio on it, which they skip the whole telepathy communication thing and go right back to just radio.
They do.
There's a radio on it, and he just calls Voltan, bird person, like, "Hey, I'm alive. Where do I go?" And he's like, "Oh, well, come to us, I guess." And I guess we're on board now.
We're still running away.
They were
Can you
hanging out in
imagine
the forest. They're hanging out on fucking Tree Person's planet.
Yeah.
They were just sitting there.
Something just occurred to me. If you're a bird person with the power of flight, why you got a rocket cycle?
It's faster than flying.
I
that's probably true.
guess when I think about it though, a motorcycle is just like walking but faster,
Right.
right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
I guess we do that.
Oh,
too.
but a better question. So Flash Gordon calls the bird guy and he's like, "Okay, I'm on the thing." How did the bird guy give him directions to wherever he was going?
he sent
It
him.
was like a homing beacon or something.
Oh, he sent him a beacon? Okay.
Yeah. So he shows up.
Then the next time we see him, he's just flying that directly at Ming's palace, which is not where the bird people were.
Right.
Like they just skipped the whole planning section. They were like, we're not going to show them planning anything. It's just
It feels like they
gone.
cut it out. They're like,
Directly
listen,
back to the enemy.
listen, we can't have this guy go back to the tree place again, because then we're gonna have to have him put his hand back in the stump.
Yeah, I can't have that.
It's too much downtime. We need shit to happen, and then shit to happen.
Too much downtime. So he's flying at the castle, right? And
Yeah.
what happens then? Does the bird people show
He
up?
just flies at him, and they start shooting him, and then he turns around
Right,
and flies away, and they send a ship after him. They're like, "Go get him."
right, and it gets real Star.
Unbeknownst to you, the viewer, that was the plan.
Right.
They wanted to lure them out so that all the bird people could then attack.
Right.
Oh, right, because the bird people were hiding behind the cloud. So they were like, light up the cloud, and they shot over it, and they were like, okay, that didn't kill the bird people. Let's just fly straight into the cloud, which isn't the best tactical thing to do in a lot of cases, but
I thought they were only getting Flash. It was very Star Warsy for a second there. There was like a guy in like a red Nazi uniform, and he was like, fire the missiles, and it was very, very taken right out of the book.
A lot of this is really Star Warsy now that I'm like thinking about it, kind of. But
yeah, they fly through the cloud, right? And there's like 100 very slow moving bird people, and they like start fighting the ship, and it's the song starts playing. Right, it's the Flash Gordon theme song by Queen. It's pretty wild. There's a guitar. There's a Freddie Mercury. There's all that.
Flash.
Whoa, Flash. But yeah,
And the Hawkmen, like, they have the numbers, and then I picture like the leader is like Zap Brannigan. His military strategy is just like go die at them by the thousands until we just overtake them.
right.
Because that's what they did. Is they just most of them died.
Yeah, most of them died. They killed the ship though, or they didn't kill the ship. They
took control of the ship.
took control of the ship, right? And Flash is like, "Don't worry, I can fly," right? So he like gets in the ship, and the Birdman's like, "Hey, buddy, like I know that we have a checkered past, but like you're the bomb." And he's like, "Don't worry, man, save yourself. You know, I got this." He's a real, selfless dude, Flash.
Oh yeah, because he's just flying it directly at the palace.
Yeah, he's gonna just blow up the palace by flying the ship into it. And there's a wedding.
Also, there's a wedding going on at the palace.
Yeah, so Ming is trying to marry Dale. This is a subplot that's happening. Like it
we
keeps
forgot about the romance.
Wasn't there
We
a pillow
completely
fight?
forgot about this.
there was a pillow fight.
Alan, tell him about the pillow fight. Let's start there.
Oh man, I don't remember anything that led up to it. I just remember like sneezing and then going from flying rocket moped to just all these concubines in just a round bed cushion room. And yeah, they needed their own fight scene there, and that's why they did it.
Yeah.
It's like Dale and
And
the daughter of
Yeah. Oh yeah, and
Dale
she's
was,
like
mad. She's like, you got Flash killed, and
yeah.
they're just fighting over that. And then they were like, after like 2 seconds, they were like, we love each other. We're the best. We're good. We know we've communicated what's going on, and we're on the same page now.
she looks at her and she's like, "How would I cry if I knew that if I didn't care about Flash or something?"
Well, and isn't this when Dale learns she's going to be like the concubine for the whole world, or is this after that?
It's just
Around this
the
general
wedding.
area, maybe.
It's just before the wedding that happens.
Oh, okay. But yeah,
so-
Dale's getting groomed to be the bride to what's his name? The really bad guy.
Ming.
Ming. Yep. He's gonna be the bride to Ming. They have big plans for her. He's gonna use her as a concubine to like repopulate the earth with their perfect babies and
Yeah.
yada yada.
It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
But we see Flash's ship like in the background, right? And like there's like the wedding party is going. You see the ship like coming in and getting bigger and bigger, and they're like right, and everybody scatters, right, and Ming is just about to run, and then he's like, and that like cuts, right, and you see that he's been impaled by the front of the ship.
So that means he literally stood and screamed for like 7 minutes.
What would you do if
I would leave the altar, Rob. He just didn't want to give up on love. He did.
It's important to note that in the meantime, there was a shield protecting the whole thing, right? So like
True.
they couldn't have done that. But then the Prince guy and Zarkov disabled the shield at the last second, so that
Flash could
very Star Warsy, so that Flash could actually crash the ship into the directly into Emperor Meng, or whatever his fucking name is. Like,
it's like very confident. I'm pretty confident in Flash's flying ability, to be completely honest with you.
From way downtown.
yeah.
It's more about being not confident in the other guy's dodging ability. Like that guy was not agile at all. Like,
yeah, I mean he's also like,
5 on Madden maybe.
he's like
agility.
a million years old.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, you know what? You know how you knew that he was gonna die? It's because he was on the previous year's Madden cover.
Curse.
Yeah, we have kept the football references down, man. I'm surprised.
Yeah, well, we got
Right.
we got Alan and you here to bring us up to football.
to the
speed.
sports ball references, yeah.
I do want to throw out there a thing I found interesting is most different characters bled differently. Like I know
Yeah.
some of the creatures were full of black ichor. Flash, of course, was bleeding red, white, and blue when he got hit by that whip that gave him like another lightning bolt across his shirt, like in a tear that matched his already existing lightning bolt.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So first, at the beginning of the movie, he's wearing just a white T-shirt with the red neck and the sleeves, and it just says Flash fucking Gordon on it.
With like cream pants.
Yeah, and then a fucking lightning bolt across his back. Then later he's in a disguise, like the princess gives him like all of their clothes to disguise him when she's sneaking him out, and underneath he has a red tank top that has the fucking goddamn lightning bolt on it.
So that means he was carrying the tank top with him
He's
to
wearing it
change
the whole
into.
time because there was no way it was part of his fucking disguise.
But yeah, to not move on yet, I thought it was interesting the Ichor thing, that you were talking about, because the composition of like some of the goons was just crazy. Often they would die and they would just scream, like some of the Star Wars like characters would scream,
Oh.
and then they would blot Ichor, like you couldn't figure out what they were made of at all.
They were
And some of them
oinking.
just disappeared. Like
Yeah,
some of them
that
would
was-
just phase out of existence.
And then the one bad dude with the metal face, who remarkably we haven't talked about at all.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, he was a
like
really
Venus
important
or something?
character.
the masked chin guy.
Yeah, with the Doctor Doom looking motherfucker.
Yeah.
When he died, his eyes like exploded out of his head for no reason.
We gotta tell him about the
Yeah, and his
mask.
tongue
though.
fell out. It looked like a thing of like uncooked bacon was just like falling out of the like his mouth spot.
The weird part was like, so he had this mask on, right? And you know how it's cool to just have a mask that's just one solid piece, like Jason, for example. This guy mouth moves, like the piece around his mouth was disconnected, and it was
Makes it much less menacing. Like
You
way
could see
less
his
menacing.
teeth, you know, so it's like you could still see his lips and his teeth, like between the two moving. It was dumb.
It's like I want to see that when like a mountain face or a temple is talking to me, but like I don't want someone's like just full on bronze mask to move up and down like the Canadians in South Park.
Right.
Yeah.
Yo,
Also,
we should
back to
explain.
what you're saying, like, so the one dude that he stabbed at the beginning had blue blood.
Yep.
The Emperor had green blood. The chick who turned into fucking black ooze was the most normal ass chick in the whole evil regime. She's just a
Yeah.
woman.
Yeah, she's just there.
Like, and when she died, she just faded away into black nothingness. Like,
Yeah, the thing that basically anything that happened in the movie that was bad that the Emperor wasn't doing directly was this guy with the metal mask that we haven't talked about. I think that's why we didn't talk about him, because he's so just like, now a bad thing's happening to Flash, but we have a second in command doing it instead of Ming. It's like they had
Right,
money to pay an extra actor.
Yeah, he's just
You
like
know?
he's just Darth Vader, basically. Like Ming is the Emperor, and Darth Vader is this guy with
Yep.
a stupid mask
Yeah.
on. But
Yeah.
Darth Vader is a fucking man with a full mask that doesn't move unless he takes it whole off.
We have the red stormtroopers that like their heads are kind of like gas masks, but kind of like Birdo from Mario.
Those are the guys that screamed.
They
Those
even
are
made
totally
him.
the guys that were like ah when they
I
died.
feel like they were like robots of some variety because like
When they
their
walked around,
behavior was so.
they made like Birdo noises too. I don't know if you've noticed that, but when they were like patrolling, they're like, ow, 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 ow.
Yeah. It's like they had really squeaky shoes on or something. They were just like squeaking on the linoleum.
But yeah.
So where were we at?
The
Anyways,
Emperor's
he
got
crashes the
stabbed.
plane directly into the bad guy and impales him.
Yep.
That's where we were at.
Impales him,
And
right?
that's it.
Flash comes around, right, and he's got a sword. I don't know where he got it. He's got a sword, and he's like, I'm gonna get you, Emperor Ming, right? And the Emperor's like, bzz. He like has this ring that controls people, right? And he's like, bzz, and Flash can't move, and he's like, I can feel your power weakening, right? And then the Emperor's like, oh, and he like zaps himself, and he just disappears, right? And the ring falls to the ground. Everyone's happy. They're like playing the song. It's like, Flash, wow, and like everyone's celebrating, and they're like, oh, Flash, and he like grabs Dale, and
Dale.
they like smooch because it's an '80s movie, and then
He's like, "Come here, sugar tits." I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
that didn't happen. Flash is too nice of a man for that, but I do feel that has happened. That
In the 80s.
that's not like the way that Beastmaster ended. That is the way that Beastmaster ended, basically. But yeah, he's like, he grabs her, they smooch, right? And then all of a sudden it's like the end, and you see the ring on the ground, and somebody picks it up and walks off with it. And then it adds a question mark to the end, and then credits.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah.
Just needed to rewind slightly. Flash Gordon has just profound camel toe at the end, like in this triumphant scene when everyone's like clapping and congratulating each other.
The ultimate
Like
bulge.
they needed a reshoot on that one, or to like put the pants on backwards or something.
Package like that, it's impossible not to.
Yeah, I think that it was intentional. You know, if you're gonna have a movie about the most beautiful, kind himbo on earth, right? Who's savior of the universe, you might as well show off his junk a little bit. You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, no.
I want to see his junk for sure.
Good movie.
There was no junk shared. It was
okay, junk, but it was like smashed against a wall tightly. You know, with like a.
You have zero imagination,
denim.
Alan. Just
split down the middle.
I see what you mean. Yeah, that's not a flattering outfit he's wearing by any means.
But yeah, he's not. I mean, he's not killing it like Bowie, right? Like, if you guys ever seen The Labyrinth, like Bowie's like, he's killing it all, the whole entire.
never seen it. What are you talking about, Tones?
Yeah. Anyways, you should watch The Labyrinth.
What is it? Tell me.
We can do a podcast on it.
We could do a podcast. Everyone's seen The Labyrinth. It's fantastic.
Pan's
I feel
Labyrinth?
like it'd be a fun one to talk about, though.
No, it's The Labyrinth with David Bowie. You look it up, and it'll get you cheesing. But yeah, no, that was it. That was Flash Gordon. I would love to see Flash Gordon rebooted. I had a really good time watching this movie.
Well, I looked in, so Taika Waititi, or whatever the fuck his name is, was apparently doing a animated reboot of Flash Gordon, but now it's going to be live action. So I don't know how. I don't know if that's actually going to happen, or if it's just something that's being talked about. I'm down for it. I'm here for it. Good, Chris Pratt. Sure.
I feel like there's got to be like a dumber himbo than Chris Pratt, though, right? Like there's got to be like a
Matthew McConaughey. No.
Who is the guy? Oh gosh, who's the torch guy? Chris Pine, maybe?
Oh, Chris Evans.
Chris Evans
pulling that shit off
looks like
sure.
a quarterback of a football team, man.
Yeah. Nick Offerman could play the Hawkman leader.
Yeah, the screaming guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good cast too.
Man. I feel like Timothy
Maybe there
Dalton
could be some time travel involved, and Dolph Lundgren can play his older self. You know.
Oh
right,
yeah.
Prime Dolph Lundgren. Like if we got like Rocky Dolph Lundgren.
I don't know if they can deviate too far from this plot. It was perfect. I don't know if they're gonna.
Right.
You're right. Yeah, there's not a lot of artistic liberty to be taken.
Yeah.
It's all pretty cut and dry, laid out. You know, there's no questions.
Yeah. No. Yeah. That's.
I mean, there's one huge beef. Clearly, does anyone know what the big problem with the movie was? Anyone?
Multiple times when they would say Flash, it was not followed by
Correct.
That honestly hurt. It hurt my feelings a little bit every time when someone just like talked to actual Flash, but there wouldn't be a chorus in the background.
I do think that would.
Like that beat came and passed, and I was just so sad.
I was thinking because there wasn't any trains, but that's also a good answer.
Zero trains.
Zero trains.
Yo,
so I'll give it
Could've at
0
least
on
shown
the
some
train scale.
space train tracks going through the clouds.
How do you think they got from point A to point B so fast?
It's like they exist. We just didn't use any.
Yeah. I think there's still a train in our hearts. I think Flash Gordon's really a train.
You can't be giving trains out for no reason, Tones. This is why you're not the train guy.
Oh my god.
Get out of here, Tones. You would just give trains to
What do you
everybody.
think happened to all the concubines?
I think they started their own little party suite. I don't know. What do you think
Did they all come back to Earth and become travel agents and work for Dale?
And then the movie starts again.
They became New York Jets cheerleaders.
Oh shit, that's it. Yeah, for sure. How long do you think in Earth time Flash Gordon was gone? And like, did they replace him and presume him missing? You know what I mean? Like, I guess we need a new quarterback.
I bet he was
Or
gone for
like,
a couple hours.
I bet he was gone for a couple hours like Earth time, right? But like years and years and years the other time. Right? So he
so, like
comes
for his
back and he has to play the
perspective, it's
game in
like,
like 2 hours. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh,
yeah.
that's the sequel. He's like, I just got
Yeah,
done saving
like
the
he
universe.
gets back, he gets home, and he has to be in uniform against the New York Giants in a playoff game 2 days later.
The first 3 hours of the remake is just a full football game that Flash is starting in.
Yeah, just like painstaking, like minute by minute, what Flash does once he gets home. Like
And there's so much downtime for commercial breaks.
the camera's just on him. Like he's just like just on his face in every single thing he does, every second of every day, and it's just a constant feed.
Once you get to the end of the football game, that's when Flash Gordon 2 begins. So it's 3
Oh, man.
hours of sitting in the
Oh
theater.
man.
And then
On
you got
that
a
note.
good hour and a
I
half.
think the key takeaway and the moral of the story clearly is dictated in one of the first scenes, is that there is no greater candidate to save the universe from any peril than an American football quarterback.
Amen.
I guess we'll have to all
God
agree
bless
on that.
America.
I mean, you put Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, like
Whoa, we're not making the
Manning.
Avengers here. We're not making the Avengers here.
I'll take Flash over all of them.
All right.
Brett Favre. I mean, come on.
Man, come
You think Brett
on.
Favre couldn't save the universe?
There's got to be like a nice.
He was the Jets quarterback.
Oh, he was for a little bit,
Ooh.
wasn't he?
He
Wait,
should at
He's
least
been
have
the
a
quarterback for
cameo.
every team in the NFL. I feel like
is there some ultimate himbo QB that we know about? Like he's just like a really beautiful dumb guy.
Yeah, it's Jimmy Garoppolo. Look him up. So Jimmy Garoppolo, let me tell you guys a quick, like a 5-second story about Jimmy Garoppolo. He's the worst quarterback with the most wins ever because he's just on a really good team and he's just super handsome. He just like walks in, throws like 5 passes, they run the ball 50 times and they win the game.
To be fair, that does seem very analogous to Flash.
Flash is just there to be the moral compass like 3 times, get in 5 fights, and get imprisoned 3 times. Like he has
Flash
very
Gordon.
little agency.
It's true. He's just there for the ride, man.
He's like, hey, you can't do that. That's illegal. And then they throw him in jail. And they're like, well, I guess that's illegal.
I mean, to his credit, he applies the tools he has to every situation, which is undeserved confidence and teamwork. Like that's he's seen what works, He's just like if you're confident and you work together, you can do anything, and he's not wrong. He does it, Like
He's just such a great. He's just such a great guy to everybody, man. Everyone just loves him.
All right. Well, I think that about wraps up. Anyone else got any final thoughts before we call it on this here Flash Gordon Slaphappy?
I can't talk anymore. I'm dying.
Okay.
I think we can call it good then.
All
We
right.
covered it. You don't need to see the movie now because we told you.
Absolutely not. You're probably not
But
confused
you
at
should
all. But you
because
should.
it's a classic.
That's right. We'll be signing off here. We will hopefully be back with another one soon.
Love you all.
Bye.
All right.